Been a minute, hey? Nice to see you again. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between cheap gear and expensive gear and where you should find yourself depending on what you're doing, what's good enough for you versus what you want to grow into, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. Let's go. What's up? If you don't know me, my name is Chris Tayez. I'm a photographer and videographer based in Ontario, Canada. I mainly shoot portraits, events, weddings. I do some commercial work. It's a little bit all over the place, but basically, if I see someone in front of my camera, I'm gonna photograph them, is generally speaking how I describe it. So I've obviously gone through a lot of gear because I'm a YouTuber and YouTubers are shills and we just take whatever is given to us and we talk about it like it's the best. Thankfully, being in the position I'm in, it means that I get sent gear, which also means that I don't have to worry quite so much about trying out more budget stuff versus more expensive stuff, because generally speaking, if I want to try something, I can, try and pull some strings and occasionally get it, not always, or I can justify it by purchasing it, reselling it, stuff like that. It's not really a great justification, to be totally honest. It's just YouTube. But the point is this: how are you supposed to look at all this as somebody who's maybe not on YouTube, who's not making money off of talking about gear, but actually making your money off of using gear, which is how I still make the bulk of my money. I don't make my money off of this YouTube channel. I make my money off of going and doing shoots, which is why I started the channel, because I wanted to give a professional perspective on some stuff. Professional meaning just I put the gear through its paces for work. So this all kind of came about because I got sent a couple of lenses, and at very first, when they sent them to me, I was really excited because I was like, oh, these are very, very budget-friendly lenses. But the thing is, technology's gotten to a place now where that's actually totally fine. Budget-friendly stuff is actually very good now. And so I was stoked because I was like, okay, can these very budget-friendly lenses actually replace the more expensive lenses? And will that get me close enough to what I want, where it's actually a great recommendation for viewers and for myself, where I can save some money, I can sell some of the gear and use these less expensive pieces of kit. The first shoot I did with them, I was not super stoked as I was shooting with them. I was photographing with them and I felt like a couple of things. One, I felt like I was missing focus more often than I would have with the first party lens. And secondly, I felt like the images were very soft. They looked really soft to me when I was looking on the back of the screen. And so I got home, I uploaded the images into Lightroom and I started working with them, and something interesting happened where I started to feel like the images, they weren't super, super sharp, which was frustrating because I'm used to, honestly, the 24 and the 50 and the 85 from Nikon, the f1.8s are just so sharp. And so I don't think ultimate sharpness is important, but when you're used to that and then you're using a lens that is kind of soft, you notice it. Editing them was fine. It's not like they were hard images to work with or anything like that. I sent them off to the client and they posted some of them. And it was really interesting because when I saw them posted on the internet, which is how 99% of my work is going to be seen, I liked the look of them. The question of what's sharp enough for you, what's good enough quality for you, what is going to be really, what's going to work for your business, these are all questions you have to ask yourself. And for me, when I was using these lenses, during the process, I thought this is not working out. And in the final images, I kind of thought the opposite. I thought, wow, these actually look really nice. They have kind of this softer filmic feel to them. Buy nice or buy twice, or buy once, cry once. These ideas that you should spend as much as you can for what, basically to get the best that you can. And I don't disagree with that. I think that that's a great point. But as we're starting to see budget gear get better and better, it becomes more valuable to take some time and to consider and to maybe take a shot on some of these less expensive lenses. And so the lenses that were sent to me, they were by Seven Artisans. I've got them here. It's these. This is the 24 and this is the 50 millimeter. The build quality on them is very good. I really like the feel of them. For some reason, it's a declicked aperture and you can't change that, which is good for video, not so good for photo. The 24 mil has a function button, which is kind of cool. They both have AF, MF switches, which is nice. They feel really good. In the hand, they feel as good as the Nikon lenses, if not better, to be honest. Yeah, we'll talk about these lenses more in another video, but I just wanted to get across the idea that it's not necessarily the worst idea to explore some of these budget lenses at this point. We certainly know that we look at Viltrox, for example, and the lenses coming out from Viltrox now are, I would say, where Sigma was 10 years ago, something like that. Viltrox will become the next Sigma. It seems very clear that that's the case. There's some new lenses coming out from Songra and some other companies that are doing very good. And then you have like Seven Artisans has always to me been like a very budget brand, like this very cheap budget brand. So when they started putting out autofocus lenses, it was sort of like, nah, they're probably not gonna be great. And I felt vindicated in that view when I was using it the first time. And then I looked at the images, I thought about it a little bit, and I actually ended up taking them with me today to shoot a quick little city hall wedding. And yeah, the images aren't perfectly sharp in the way that like a more clinical rendering would be if I was using the Nikon S-series lenses, but I like the look of them. And I actually think for a lot of portraiture, that's not always the worst thing. There's a lot of chromatic aberration, which you can fix, but you know, obviously you don't want that. There is some loca, which is harder to fix, but generally speaking, we're looking at quite a nice lens for the price. Is it going to be as good as some of the other lenses that are maybe, you know, $100 or $200 more? Maybe not. If this is your price point, these aren't like the worst lenses to get. And if we extrapolate that out and we look at audio gear, if we look at maybe not camera bodies so much, because camera bodies are still kind of at a premium, but I think if we look at a lot of the accessories that go around filmmaking or photography, all these companies are starting to make things that are more and more accessibly priced. So on a day like today, when we've had the R6V launched and the A7R6, and then we had this new fun compact camera from Lumix, and it looks like there's probably something coming from Fujifilm soon, and I think there's other cameras happening. I don't know, there's just so much shit happening. All of that is gonna get the limelight, and people are gonna spend a lot of money. And then they're gonna realize that they probably spent all their money on their cameras and don't have enough money to spend on things like lenses or things like filters and stuff like that. So I can understand why budget gear is starting to get a lot of more interest overall, because it's getting better and more people are taking photos, and that's a good thing. So, things like Mark Bennett and Andy Weimels and some of those other YouTube channels that are starting to like really blow up doing more budget gear makes a lot of sense, and that's really accessible. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm happy that I tried these out and that I gave them a second chance, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with these lenses and to look at some of this more budget-friendly gear that is being sent my way. Like that TTArtisan 40mm f2 I love it. I think the images off it are so nice. I've got a review for it that you can see, and I actually just had it sent to me for the L mount, so I'll be using it on the Leica SL2 to mess around with a little bit too, and that's gonna be a fun exploration to see. You got like extreme budget lens on, a Leica, and like those two things feel like they don't mesh, but hey, it's worth trying, right? Anyways, just trying to get back into the swing of this thing, and I appreciate you watching. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.